On the quiet morning of October 30th, 2025, Hollywood dimmed its lights. Adam Greenberg, the Oscar-nominated cinematographer whose camera defined the look of the Terminator and Terminator 2. Judgment Day had passed away in Los Angeles at the age of 88. The news first broke through Deadline, confirmed by his longtime collaborators in Israel and the United States. Assistant director Eddie Ziv wrote, "He never commanded, he swam beside us, anchored in clarity, wisdom, and calm." And then came James Cameron. "I could not have done Terminator without him," Cameron said. "Adam taught me how to make light feel alive." Arnold Schwarzenegger reposted a still of himself from the 1984 classic drenched in blue light and smoke, captioning simply, "He made me a silhouette, and that silhouette became a legend." For film lovers, the loss felt intimate. Greenberg's name might not have appeared on billboards, but his shadows were stitched into the DNA of modern cinema. The man who taught machines how to dream in the dark was gone, leaving behind a glow that will never fade. Adam Greenberg's story began far from Hollywood's red carpets in the gray streets of Krakow, Poland, where he was born on April 11th, 1937. His family fled Europe's unrest and resettled in Tel Aviv, where young Adam grew up amid sun-scorched stone and salt air. In the 1950 seconds, he found work not behind a lens, but inside the heart of film literally. He cleaned, spliced, and developed celluloid in a tiny Tel Aviv laboratory. That darkroom would become his classroom. Each frame that passed through his hands taught him how light could transform into memory. He began shooting newsreels and documentaries, capturing daily life in Israel, kids running through Jaffa markets, fishermen pulling nets at dawn. There was no glamour, no luxury, only sunlight, dust, and instinct. That combination, instinct and discipline, would stay with him for life. Colleagues later recalled that even as a teenager, Greenberg carried himself with quiet certainty. "He didn't talk to impress," one said. "He spoke to connect." And those connections between light, story, and emotion would soon pull him into a career that spanned 6 decades and 2 continents. In the 1960 seconds and 70 seconds, Israeli cinema was a scrappy miracle. Budgets were low, crews were small, but ambition was sky high. Greenberg was right at the center of that creative storm. His first major credit as director of photography came in The Flying Matchmaker, 1966, a musical remake of a beloved Yiddish operetta. The film's warm tones and fluid camera moves made him stand out immediately. Soon, his eye was everywhere. Hassamba, 1971. I Love You, Rosa, 1972. My Michael, 1974. Each project taught him to tell emotional stories through simple, tactile visuals, candles flickering on sand-colored walls, sunlight bouncing off stone courtyards. Then came Lemon Popsicle, 1978. Shot with a mix of adolescent energy and nostalgia, it became a runaway hit and traveled beyond Israel's borders. Hollywood producers noticed. Here was a man who could shoot intimacy and chaos in equal measure and make both look beautiful. For Greenberg, those years were his true apprenticeship. He learned to work fast, light creatively, and lead without shouting. His sets became small families, bonded by trust. He once told a friend, "A film camera is not a weapon, it's a window." That window was about to open onto the world. By 1980, Greenberg's reputation had reached across the ocean. Director Samuel Fuller invited him to shoot The Big Red One, a gritty war film partially shot in Israel. It was his first major American production and the ticket that brought him to Hollywood. 4 years later, destiny called, under the neon haze of Los Angeles. A young, hungry director named James Cameron was about to shoot a low-budget science fiction thriller called The Terminator. He needed someone who could make cheap sets look cinematic. Someone who understood darkness not as an absence, but as a canvas. That someone was Adam Greenberg. Together, they reinvented sci-fi, Greenberg turned ordinary LA streets into steel blue nightmares, sodium lights, smoke, and reflections shimmering on wet asphalt. With minimal equipment, he crafted what Cameron later called tech noir lighting. Sharp contrasts, silhouettes, and a sense that the night itself was alive. The budget was small, but the vision was limitless. To create the illusion of speed, Greenberg mounted lights on moving cars instead of renting massive rigs. He used practical lamps, shop windows, and headlights to paint the frame. When he couldn't afford a crane, he climbed the roof himself. The Terminator became a cultural phenomenon, a fusion of machine precision and human fear. And its look, that cold metallic palette, became the blueprint for decades of action cinema. In one of his few interviews, Greenberg said softly, "When you light a face, you are not lighting skin. You are lighting emotion." That philosophy turned an indie thriller into legend. The 1980 seconds and early 1990 seconds were Greenberg's golden age. After The Terminator, he became one of Hollywood's most sought-after cinematographers. His credits read like a time capsule of modern classics. La Bamba, 1987, Three Men and a Baby, 1987, Turner and Hooch, 1989, and The Ethereal Ghost, 1990. With Ghost, Greenberg proved his mastery extended beyond action. He replaced the metallic blue of Terminator with a glowing, romantic softness, candlelight, and mist that made the supernatural feel tender. The film became a global hit and earned him his first nomination from the American Society of Cinematographers. Then came the return to the machine. Terminator 2, Judgment Day, 1991. Armed with a far bigger budget and evolving technology, Greenberg elevated Cameron's vision to mythic scale. The interplay of molten steel, reflective chrome, and human tears made the sequel a visual masterpiece. The Academy took notice, and Adam Greenberg received his Oscar nomination for Best Cinematography. That same year, he told a reporter, "Technology gives you tools. Emotion gives you purpose." And that purpose to find humanity inside spectacle defined his work. From sci-fi epics to family comedies, Greenberg's camera remained unmistakable. He chased light the way a poet chases words, with precision and heart. By the mid-1990 seconds, Adam Greenberg was everywhere, yet nowhere loud. He wasn't a celebrity cinematographer. He was a craftsman. He shot Sister Act, 1992. With the same care he gave Terminator 2, bathing Whoopi Goldberg in warm gospel light. He found rhythm in Rush Hour, 1998, blending martial arts chaos with Los Angeles glow. And even in wild projects like Inspector Gadget, 1999, and Snakes on a Plane, 2006, his lens carried grace. Crews loved him. He never yelled. He never boasted. One assistant remembered, if something went wrong, he'd just smile and say, "Okay, let's find the light again." Greenberg believed that good cinema wasn't about expensive equipment, but about patience. His sets were calm, methodical, a rare piece in an industry built on panic. He taught by example. Never panic, never blame, always look. In a 2000 ASC roundtable, he summarized his career in one line: light should serve emotion, not ego. That humility made him a mentor to dozens of younger cinematographers, many of whom still cite him as a guiding influence. In 2013, after more than 4 decades in Hollywood, Adam Greenberg returned home. He went back to Israel not for fame, not for money, but for memory. There, he directed Footsteps in Jerusalem, a documentary paying tribute to his mentor David Perloff and to the 1963 film in Jerusalem, the very first project to bear Greenberg's camera credit. It was a perfect circle, a farewell to the city that taught him how light breathes. In interviews, he described the project as a meditation on time and texture. No explosions, no machines, just light, stone, and silence. The documentary was screened at festivals across Israel and Europe, celebrated as a love letter to the art of seeing. When asked why he came back, he smiled. Because every image begins somewhere. Mine began here. It was his last major work, quiet, personal, and profoundly human. A fitting closing chapter for a man who spent his life chasing the invisible. On October 30th, 2025, the news of his passing spread quickly, first among friends, then across the film world. Avraham Karpik, who had worked with him decades earlier, wrote on Facebook, "Now we are left with echoes of his words, his spirit, his way, because whales never truly vanish. They become part of something deeper." James Cameron's tribute followed. Adam was more than a cinematographer. He was the conscience of the frame. Film schools across Los Angeles and Tel Aviv screened The Terminator that weekend. Pausing at the final, "Fade the red horizon over the storm," a moment that still feels alive because of his eye. Even AI-driven filmmakers online paid respect, noting how Greenberg's analog mastery had shaped the digital age. The neon blues, the reflective metal, the chiaroscuro contrast, all born from his intuition. In a world obsessed with spectacle, Adam Greenberg remained devoted to soul. He was not the man in front of the light, he was the man who built it. His work reminds us that cinema isn't about showing the world as it is, but revealing what it feels like. And as Hollywood mourned his loss, it also celebrated the truth he left behind. Light doesn't die, it travels. And in every shadow that flickers across a movie screen, somewhere, Adam Greenberg is still at work, shaping the dark into something beautiful. If his films once filled your childhood, the blue glare of Terminator 2, the ghostly warmth of Ghost, leave a light in the comments below. Tell us which scene you'll never forget. And subscribe to Gone But Iconic, as we keep honoring the legends who made the silver screen truly shine.